Failure isn't something to avoid, it's actually one of life's greatest teachers.
You're now listening to the Student of Life podcast.
Hi, everyone. Trey here, and I'm so glad you're with us today. And by us, I mean our little friend, Tim Murphy.
Hello.
And the one and only Johnny V.
How's it going, everyone?
Well, today's topic is a simple one, and it's a little bit complex. And I know that's kind of a contradiction, but hey, so is life, right? We're going to dive into how failure is something most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. But what if we've been looking at it completely the wrong way? Well, today we're asking a simple question. Is failure really the enemy, or is it one of life's greatest teachers? I don't know. Does anyone know? Tim, do you know?
I don't know if I know, but I know that it is a good teacher.
Johnny V, do you know?
I know exactly what it is. It's one of the hardest lessons that you could learn in life. So I wouldn't say it's a teacher, but it's definitely a lesson.
All right. Johnny V has the answer. So we're going to go to Johnny V for all of these questions because
That's right.
he knows, Tim, you're not going to answer any questions. I'm going to ask the questions, so I'm not going to answer them. But, in all seriousness, I do have the first question. What's one failure that seemed devastating at the time, but ended up changing your life for the better? Tim, what's over with you, man?
A tough one. I mean, there's so many minor and I guess major failures. And I guess I don't even like using the word failure for some of them. I guess it's just maybe a setback or maybe a bump in the road. I mean, I guess there's a wide range of things that I guess you could call them. But I think probably one of my biggest ones would have been, man, that's tough.
All right. Do you need a little bit of time? Because I can give you some time.
You know what? Yes, I will take a minute. I've had quite a few, so I need to pick and carefully choose a good one.
Yes. Johnny V, did you want to go ahead and start with one?
Yeah, actually, I can give you a pretty good one. Not my biggest failure because thank God I haven't had like big failures, but a very teachable moment was learning how to ride a bike again.
Yeah. Wait. You mean a bicycle or a bike? A motorbike.
A bike, a motorcycle. I just wanted to throw it out there. I knew I got you like that too. And you're like, you don't know how to ride a bike? Hey, it's okay if you don't know how to ride a bike. If you're a Phoebe Buffet, it's
That's
okay.
true.
No,
We go with a Friends reference. I love it. Keep them coming, Johnny.
yeah. So early in life, I initially learned, and it was just a complete failure. It's something that I've always wanted it to do. But when I was in the military, one of my buddies, he signed me up for the class to take along with him. And the funny part about it was I had never touched a bike at that time. I never ridden a motorcycle at that time. Didn't even know how to turn it on, nothing. But he had said, hey, you know how to drive a stick shift car. This should come naturally. Well, years later, initially I did those classes, but then years and years later, I was like, it's like riding a bike. It's whatever. I finally got my motorcycle of my dreams. I say that because I seen my uncle riding a similar bike, and then my neighbor, when growing up, had the exact a very similar bike to what I have right now. But it's called not sponsored, but it's a Harley Road King. I didn't buy it from Harley. I bought it from secondhand off of an old man, and he gratefully he let me take it for a test ride, which I declined. I didn't have the cash on hand, and I didn't want to drop it. And lo and behold, after I bought it off of him, the first thing I did was drop it. I made it right around the block, and I dropped it right on myself. And if I would have took that as a sign of, hey, you failed, like this is it right here. I barely made it into second gear, and I dropped it at a red light. I would never have gotten to enjoy one of my biggest joys in life now. One of my things that helps me mind meld and kind of de-stress when I need to. And I can only imagine having to turn that back around and just try to sell it again and just look at it as the worst thing I've ever done in my life. Nope. I invested so much time into that bike. I've put so much like manpower, wrenching, I guess, into it. So I'm very happy that even though I took that as a life lesson that I failed at, I didn't take it as it was a sign to quit, basically.
Yeah. And that's a really good perspective. I mean, hey, you're enjoying it now, Yeah, I dropped it. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You picked it back up, right? And you kept going. I love it.
Eventually I picked it back up.
I mean, but you did. I mean, who's to say that, time is relative. Let me just say that. time is relative. So you did pick it back up. So I'm glad that you did. Now, Tim, did you still need some more time, or are you ready to go? Because I can go if you need me to.
No, actually, hearing about that from a vehicle standpoint, I think that's the two quick ones. I think my first crash that I was ever involved in,
No, no, Tim. No, I only need one from you, man. Hey,
and
hey,
and that's why I'm jumping into the most important one. I'll save
okay.
the other one for later. So, 18 years old, coming back from seeing some friends down at one of the colleges, just graduated high school, was coming back to the house where I was living at the time with parents, got hit head on at about 55, 60 miles an hour. Totaled my car, totaled the other car, and it was my first time really driving a significant distance by myself. And of course, sleep deprivation. I was like, oh, I can make it back, no problem. I'm good. I'm good. Wasn't good. Should have, listened to my body. Should have listened to, what was going on and stopped and gotten some caffeine. But 18 years old, I'm thinking, I can push through anything at this point. I know everything. Um, and I ended up looking back, it crumpled both vehicles. I'm, extremely lucky to be alive and to have walked away with it completely unscathed, except for, a seatbelt bruise on my chest and then a little bit of burning from the airbag going off. But it took a minute after that I, didn't have a vehicle to like really think, am I going to be able to go further than, where I was working at the time, which I could have taken the quick back roads, and it would have been a 15-minute drive from there. I didn't want to drive any further than that. I didn't want to drive at night. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I mean, it shook me pretty bad, but I think I kind of talked myself out of it. I was like, no, I had friends that were at schools all over the, different places in different states, and I had family that lived in different cities at the time. And yeah, I think if I wouldn't have like in essence gotten back on the bike but gotten back behind the wheel, I probably would have been home. I don't want to say homebound, but it definitely would have negatively impacted me, I think, for the remainder of time, because I probably would have lived with that fear of like, well, if I leave my neighborhood here, what's to say I don't get in another crash. And I mean, that's a common, unfortunate trend after someone gets in a serious, crash like that.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to give mine, and I'm only going to give an abridged version because we're kind of running out of time on just the tip. But just the tip, it's actually going to flow right into my whole failure situation. So I left the correctional job that I was working for Dayton in Ohio, and I attempted to go for fire service. I did not make it out of the academy after failing my third written test. Nothing physical. Hey, I was doing it. I was knocking it out. I don't know anything about fire. I'm trying to learn this stuff on the fly. It's the first class that they had in so long. Anyway, failed my third test. They washed me out and I was devastated. Why? Because I put in so many hours. I gave it my all, in my opinion. And I know we kind of touched on this in another episode, but I want to revisit this one because if it wasn't for that failure, then I wouldn't have been unemployed because I didn't want to go back to Dayton Correctional with my tail tucked between my legs. My pride was a little bit too much, right? Too big. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met my wife. And 10 years later, we're still married. So failure, but it kind of worked out. Hey, it's a good thing. And I'll go in deeper into it when we go into the full package. But Tim, I definitely want to tell you that I am so happy that you're still here with us and you had that life lesson that you learned from, right? Johnny, I'm so glad that you picked back up that bike that you put down. You picked it back up. Eventually you did. I'm happy for you. And that's one of your passions. So I'm glad you both are okay. Now, this episode itself, I really want to talk about how we can spend our entire life kind of chasing someone else's definition of success and never really discovering our own. That's something that I want to talk about in this one. And just some of the topics that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about, why people feel fear. Sorry, can't even talk right now. I might need to drink some water. Hold on, let me get a sip of water real quick.
Drink water.
Gotta hydrate.
Come on, Corman. You went to the Air Force for a little too long, didn't you?
Spoiled.
Oh my gosh. So why do people fear failure so much? And is it the failure itself or the fear of being judged? Those are two questions that I have. either one of you want to put one above the other before we go into the full package? Is it the fear of failure itself or the fear of being judged? Which one, Johnny?
Honestly, I'd like to say it's more
Without
nowadays.
expanding on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Nowadays, I feel like it's more of the fear of being judged. Definitely.
Okay, you're going with that for right now. Okay. The fear of being judged, that's Johnny. Tim, what do you have?
So actually, I was going to say judged. So I'll keep mine brief so we can all expand further on that a little bit later.
Okay, so you're going with fear of being judged. Johnny, Tim, you're both going there. I'm going to say, ooh, this actually might be one that we might agree on, kind of. I wanted to kind of like be that counterbalance and say, no, it's going to be the failure itself. No, I think you both are probably right. And we're going to discuss this, the fear of being judged. That's my opinion. Ooh, yeah, we're going to have a conversation about this. So, because I know that we've all experienced failure, but, we're all kind of like so terrified of it. And I want to know why we're so terrified of it in the first place, And we're going to be discussing this and so much more in the full package, which is up right now on Patreon. So feel free to head on over there and continue to follow the conversation. But if this was just enough for you, I want to thank you for being here. And before you leave, be sure to have that notification bell selected and subscribe button pushed. We're going to go ahead and cross on over to the other side and see you guys in the next episode as well.